Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and right over there is Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete Wright.
Aloha.
Aloha.
You look rested.
Oh,
Rosy-cheeked. Yeah.
I'm rested. Yeah. Have a little
You're
tan.
wrapping up the end of your first week back. Did you recover okay?
I did. I recovered well. Came back to a great opportunity to work with my clients again, work on my business again. I was happy to be here.
Brilliant.
And my family was happy to have me. My dog was ecstatic.
Oh, over the moon.
Yeah.
In dog years, you've been gone like 14.
Oh, totally. So yeah. You know, it's been great. So it was a great vacation. And, maybe next time I'll go back and actually see the islands, because this time I just really rested. I did a lot of resting.
That's good. That's what you're supposed to do.
A lot of reading. So
yeah. We're headed up to Seattle, actually to the San Juans, to do a little resting just for the weekend. This weekend, I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to that. For the same thing, I think I've been really vicariously just jealous of you getting away.
Yeah.
And it's time for me to be vertical for a few days. That's going to be great.
Absolutely. I've never been to the San Juans. Is it beautiful there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, there's like 17, nice? I think the last count, there's 17 million little islands up there. That's the official total, 17
million?
Yeah, there's a lot of islands. Yeah, no, it's very dangerous. There's some of them are very sharp. Yeah, yeah. And so we got a little Airbnb, and it has lots of windows. And I think the weather is going to be too nice. You know, usually I like to have a little stormy weather when we go up there, but I think it's actually supposed to be weirdly clear. One of the 14 days of clear skies that area gets, but I'm really looking forward to it. And so this is a great way to wrap up.
Yes.
To wrap up the week is talking to you about some fun things. Before we do that, head over to Take Control ADHD, get to know us a little bit better. You can listen to the show right there on the website or subscribe to our mailing list right on the homepage, and we'll send you an email each time a new episode is released. Connect with us on Twitter or Facebook at Take Control ADHD. And if you really want to support us and tap into this growing group of ADHDers with some amazing insights and resources, jump over to patreon.com/the ADHD podcast and subscribe there. You'll get access to a private Facebook group for the show, and you'll be able to join us for our weekly live stream that we're recording right now. There are actually people watching us live, and they're able to ask us questions and interact with us. We'd like to have a little chat after the show. And we've been doing this show for a long, long time, and those who have the means to contribute just a bit, it's incredibly rewarding and encouraging. It helps us to keep growing, trying new things, learning how to be a better support for the ADHD community. So thank you so much to those who've already contributed. Patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. We do have some questions. Speaking of Patreon, we have some questions that have come from our patrons, and we want to get to them. And the way we do it is we do it in the live chat after we finish the podcast proper. So if you're listening to the show and you're curious what these questions are, one of them's related to GTD, one of them's related to time blocking, but you don't get to know what they are until you support us over on Patreon. Members in the live stream can always access this in the archive over on Facebook, and they can see what those questions are. So stick around for questions after the show. All right, Nikki.
Yes.
What color is your office? I don't remember. It's sort of a taupe.
It's a grayish, like the walls are kind of like it's a grayish tone against white. Like the paneling is white. And then I've got green accents. It's actually pretty modern looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like my office. I actually decorated it. Like I made a point to kind of decorate it. Yeah.
Did you think about color before you started?
Oh, of course. I didn't think about color, though, in the sense that you're probably going to think about it. I thought about it in a way of, what do I like?
Yeah.
What's going to make me happy? And I love the gray because that's just, I guess, well, I shouldn't say I've always liked it. I guess I'm definitely prone to what's sort of trending. And, if you watch Fixer Upper or any of those HGTV shows, which I do frequently on the weekends, that's a very popular color. So, of course, I was drawn to it. And then the green accents, I'll have to take pictures and I'll post the pictures. The green accents, it doesn't sound like it would match, but it's green and black with the taupey gray. I now say I don't think it's taupey, but you made me think it might be taupey.
Well, I think it's just more of the sort of rose color of the camera. Like it's just everything's a little rosy to that gray. It makes it look a little taupey, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I just it just makes me happy to be here.
Well, I like your office too. It is. I think it's great. We'll see if it checks out in our color test today. I do want to talk about color, and I actually two things: colors and symbols. First of all, and we'll start with symbols, which is it got me thinking about the our emoji conversation for those who saw the live stream last week, but we didn't post it in the podcast, which was on how we use emoji, and I think a lot of people, particularly people of a certain age, maybe don't.
Are you talking about yourself?
Shh. I don't know. I don't know, Nikki. I think we may not give emoji due their proper due, and I think it's worth actually thinking a little bit about emoji because I use apparently I use a thumbs up a lot. That's my go-to emoji. Sometimes I use actually the second most popular emoji that I use is the head exploding. So I don't know if that tells you anything.
That's funny.
I use that a lot.
Thumbs up, everything's okay. And then your head is exploding. So
things are not okay.
No, everything's
and
not
there's just like no gray area in between either. It's just, yay, no.
No.
So I started using emoji a lot in an app called Slack, and Slack is a team collaboration tool, and I have a number of clients and teams that are on Slack. We use Slack to communicate, and one of the things that Slack does better than anyone else on a computer is using emoji. So when you download the app on the computer and you're typing along, type, and you hit colon, and then the first letter that describes the emoji that you want, say $R, it automatically pops up all the emojis that start with R. So like rocket and, whatever, a radish. I don't know what all the R emojis are.
Okay.
But then you can just keep typing and it'll further self-select, or just hit return and it'll take the top emoji from the list. It is just brilliant how it handles emoji picking.
So that would be for your communication within a team, though, right? So you're talking about if you're using Slack, then use the emoji because they do a really good job.
Well, what I'm talking about more than anything else is how they implement emoji. And that unlocked emoji for me. Like I find myself using emoji more because I can do it quickly. I don't have to go up to a menu and click a little thing and open up the keyboard viewer and then search for the emoji I want and then click and then copy and paste or drag it in. Like on a computer, it's generally more complicated to use emoji than it is on our mobile devices, on our phones. Well, Slack got it right on the computer. Whatever you think about the app is kind of flaky. It crashes. It uses a lot of resources, whatever. But man, when you're just typing quickly and you want to type a quick message with an emoji, it gets it right. So I started using emoji in Slack. Then I discovered an enterprising nerd posted me to a wonderful little app called Rocket. This is for the Mac. It is amazing because what it does, it's a little menu bar thing and it runs up in your system, always on. It makes Slack style emoji picking available everywhere on your system that you can type. So in a Word or Pages document, on a website, in a form field.
And this is something you download.
Yeah.
Rocket
and it's available for free. You can pay the guy $5 and it'll unlock a full little search application. Link is going to be in the show notes.
Do you remember when I sent you an emoji and I thought it was something else and it was actually like a flag, or it was like what was it? Do you remember that?
It was like the Ecuadorian flag or something.
Yeah. And I thought it was something else. And you're like, why are you sending me this flag?
So funny. Well,
Anyway,
and so now
we
look at the Finder here. This is the thing that has really helped me. And this is the trick. This is the only reason I wanted to talk about emoji today, was because of this trick.
Yeah.
When you are, now that I can put emoji easily wherever I want them, I can put them in my file system. And so I have this one giant current directory of everything that I'm doing, right? This is all my client work, all my projects, everything. And now I have them filtered because I can say, like, here are I have a mortarboard here, emoji for the places where I'm teaching. I have headphones that precede all of the podcasts that I do. I have musical notes for my guitar music and practice tools. I have a really, really strong man before my Pete's workouts folder. I have a business building for all of my clients, like all of my the clients that I'm working with right now. I have, the classes I'm taking, games, family stuff. These emoji work just like letters in the alphabet. Mm-hmm. So even though N and P and R and S and T, they might not be specifically, they're alphabetical only because they follow this headphone, which is a character. Effectively, the file system sees it as a character and sorts them together, which is what I want. I want to see all my podcasts because it lets me see them without the distraction of seeing all the other stuff.
Right.
And so that was the hot tip around symbols that became really important to me. That also leads into color, which is what I want to talk about today.
Okay.
So this is where I started thinking about color, because I started using color in the file system, and then it got me thinking, my office is kind of drab. I actually used to really like it. It looks kind of like parchment. If you're in here, it looks like a kind of parchment paper, and it's very classy, but it's looking kind of weathered. It's been like this for a long time. Maybe I should start looking at painting my office a new color and kind of go along with my new sort of, I want a little bit more vibrant. So I started looking into color. Oh my goodness, Nikki. Oh my goodness.
A lot of psychology behind it, right?
Well, psychology and color therapy being used in the treatment of ADHD. And this is where we need to talk today.
Wow.
So, mental and emotional effects of color on sighted people is something that is widely documented. Warm colors, reds, yellows, oranges, they tend to stimulate feelings of comfort and warmth, all the way to hostility and rage and anger, frustration. Cool colors inspire this sort of range from calmness to sadness, right? I mean, that's cool. The blues, teary eyes. Green is one of those interesting colors because it actually has a documented effect on the retina, right? So green focuses the color right in the retina, and it causes less strain on the eye muscles. So it is documented and highly recommended that if you're feeling super stressed, have a pure green card handy, a nice, beautiful, warm green, and stop and look at green for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and it can help you relax a little bit. It can help you focus. It can relax your eyes and your head. Interesting stuff, right?
It is. And I'm so glad that you said that to look at green, because at first I thought you were going to say green makes you feel more stressed. And that was going to worry me because I have a lot of green in my office. But that's not the case.
No, that's not the case. And in fact, you want bigger panels of green. You want to be able to fill your field with green, right? And that's
focus.
And so
on
green kind of became one of the top candidates for a new color in my office. Wouldn't that be kind of a bold change? Everything's green. What about yellows and oranges, right? This is one of those interesting ones. What does yellow and orange do for you? Well, I found this quote on this wonderful art therapy or color therapy site. You want to be careful about using bright colors like orange and especially yellow. They reflect light more excessively, stimulates a person's eyes, which can lead to irritation. You also don't want to paint your dining room or kitchen these colors if you're a calorie counter. They make you hungry.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of that's interesting too, because you have a high percentage of people whose kitchens are bright yellow, like a vibrant bright yellow, and it's great, I guess. Just don't spend too much time in there, because then you're not only hungry in this bright yellow room, you're also in the same room where the food is. So
right,
something to consider.
It's not setting you up for success.
Right. So I want to do a quiz.
Okay.
For you.
Okay.
This is for you.
All right.
Don't worry. The stakes are very low. You can't really fail. I guess you could fail, but it's not really that serious. Look, I have all these colors. We're going to run down some colors, and I want you to tell me what you think of, and we're going to associate kind of the psychological and emotional effects with these colors. What are the feelings you expect to get out of these colors? Oh, I know. This is great.
Okay.
Then we're going to talk about the specific ADHD issues. But first, remember, colors come with a lot of emotional baggage. They really do. And so they mean different things to us. They can inspire different feelings because of our upbringing, our location. There's a lot of factors at work. So this is just sort of broadly accepted reaction to colors. And art therapy, color therapy in particular, is very broad. So there's some scientific data around sort of how color works in the eyes and in the brain. But as soon as you start talking about, emotional response to color, it gets a little bit murky. So just know that's something that your mileage may vary. So this is very broad.
And what am I supposed
discussion.
to do? You're going to tell me a color, and I'm supposed to do what?
I'm going to tell you a color, and you're going to tell me what you think that color means and inspires in you.
Okay.
All right. Let's start with white. What does white represent?
I think it represents like openness, like it's open, it's large, like
So you know what?
Yeah.
You're so right. Sense of space, openness, a sense of space. It's also obviously the color of neutrality, right? White flag,
right?
It's a color of purity and innocence, right? It makes you feel youthful, right? In some cultures, it's also the color of mourning, and I don't mean mourning like the hills are alive in the morning. I mean mourning, M-O-U-R-N. In some cultures, white is the color of mourning the loss of another, or sadness or grief. I think that's interesting. How about black?
Black is tricky because I wear a lot of black. Like I almost always wear something black every day. So clothing wise, it's one of my favorite colors because it kind of goes with everything.
How does it make you feel?
Well, I feel, how do I feel? That's hard because I think that it's kind of the opposite a little bit of white. Like black feels a little bit more, controlled. Like it feels a little bit more tighter in the space, right? If you're looking at space, it's going to be a little bit more, packaged.
Okay.
I don't know how else to say that.
No. I think that's great. It's thinning. It's slimming. Like it's a constraining color.
Yes, that's good. I like that. Yeah.
It is the color of strength and power and authority. Black. It promotes it emotes sort of authority and control. It's also the color of evil. Right.
I'm not evil.
Kind of get that. You're not evil. You're not evil. In other cultures, in contrast to white, it's the color of death or mourning. So,
which makes sense because you do wear black when you go to a funeral. That's sort of what you're supposed to be doing, and that's very easy for me to do. And there are times where I've worn black to a wedding, and I've thought about that because I have like a black dress that I've worn to a wedding, and I thought, I wonder if I should not wear this black dress.
Right.
And then I said, no, I'm going to wear it because I felt good in it because I felt like it made me look thinner. Yep. That's really funny.
That's right.
Okay.
How about gray? Now we're right in the middle.
Yeah, I almost feel like it is. It's right in the middle. It's like, when you talk about black and white thinking and you want to kind of, open yourself up to the gray area. Like gray area to me is like a little bit unknown.
Neutral, right?
Neutral,
it's
but
neutral.
It's flexible. It's not a threatening color to me, but to some, maybe it would be because it's hard to go to that gray area when you're a black and white thinker.
It's generally that sense of neutrality. It's also timeless, right? It's a practical color. It's practical because it can go with anything, but there's no real. It's that neutrality. It's kind of like there's no real emotional reaction to gray. It's just gray. It is what it is. But then we get into the primaries. Red, rapid fire. Red.
Yeah, red is actually one of my favorite colors, especially as accents in my house, because we have a mustardy yellow, warm color on the walls, so it looks really well with red. I remember being in an art class in middle school, and we were learning about colors, and they always said red is the one that stands out. Like if you're in a room and everybody has a different colored shirt, the red one's going to stand out probably most likely first. So I just remember it as being, so because of that, I kind of look at it as sort of its own independent color. But then I also look at it as pay attention. Like this is important, right? So if it's the first thing that you notice, if I have something that's important for me to do, it's probably going to have a red dot, or it's going to have a little stop emoji next to it, because it's going to draw my attention to it immediately.
Well, and that's exactly what it does. It's the color of excitement. It's the color of attention. It's the color of intensity. It's the color of love and romance, right? Obviously, that's kind of a natural in many cultures. It can be a color of comfort depending on the hue. But it is generally a color of lifting spirits rather than subduing them, right? Mm-hmm. And that'll come into play in a little bit. Same with orange. Color orange is kind of as a variant of that. It's happy, it's energetic, it's exciting, the color orange. It's a color of enthusiasm and warmth. It's also the color, if you go a little bit further into the woo-woo, it's the color of wealth and prosperity. It's the color orange. It's a color of sophistication, believe it or not. It's a color of change. Orange represents change. So orange spaces are great spaces for transformation, for doing something, building something. It is a stimulating color. Again, that'll come into play. Color yellow we've talked about, right? It is another stimulant color, but it's a color of hunger, right? It's a color that's gonna stimulate your appetite. It can also be that sort of attention-getting color. Can also be an angry color, yellow, depending on pairing. And we've talked about green, right? It's that neutral color of growth and health and tranquility and harmony, calmness. The nice thing about color is it can do all those things, but it's not a sedative color, right? It's not a color that when surrounded in green, you're naturally going to fall asleep, right? It's not going to make you sleepy. It's just going to calm the energy. How about blue?
I think I have a little bit of a bias here, only because you mentioned it before and you're like, I'm feeling blue. So now I'm looking at blue thinking, oh, it's sad. But I don't think of blue as sad. Like I can see, yes, when do you have the blues? We kind of associate that with being sad. But I don't. And I think why, because it's one of my husband's favorite colors. And so it brings him joy. So to me, blue is not a bad color, or it doesn't generate those feelings for me.
Well, and to that point, I mean, it is the color of calmness, of serenity, right? Yeah. It's a peaceful color. It's a very peaceful color, and it's also the color of loyalty, right? I mean, in terms of, again, the sort of belief systems that go with color. It's a color that inspires that sort of trust. It also inspires focus. So that's an interesting, but not quite so much as if you want to find yourself in a creative space, in your most creative, sophisticated, and wise space, you're going to move on from blue and head straight to purple. That is the color of sophistication and wisdom and prosperity and respect. It's also kind of a color of mystery, and it's wildly underused in those contexts. But if you surround yourself in a nice purple. And I guess maybe you listen to some Prince music. I think that goes together. How about brown? Brown is interesting. It's one of those that is also underused. Well, when you think of the brown emoji, it's poo. Yeah, it's poo. Right. But it actually is a color of stability and friendship, brown.
I would not have thought of that at all. Yeah. I don't associate brown with friendship.
If you think of browns and taupes in a like a living space, they can be very warm. They can be very welcoming. They can be very sort of familial. So those are just sort of the overriding kind of emotional connections, some of them that are associated with colors. But let's look at treating conditions like ADHD with color. It's a practice called chromotherapy, and there are some unique characteristics at play. First, orange is used to improve alertness and mood, right? We talked about orange as a stimulant. It's used to treat depression too, but orange can fatigue and confuse. And if you use too much of it, or if you paint your most important spaces orange and you live with ADHD, it can be very challenging to find focus over a long period.
Right, that makes sense. Right. Okay.
So it may lift you up when you first walk in there, but if you're in there for long periods, it can be very, very challenging. So sometimes if you want to just perk yourself up and wake yourself up, have a nice orange card and just stare at an orange card for 30 seconds or 2 minutes. Seriously, that's the recommendation, is use these colors as they're associated. It's sort of non-medical intervention for a quick boost. We talked about yellow. Yellow, again, in this case, it's used to boost the nervous system. But if you give, so it's a stimulant, it's a heavy stimulant color. If you give yellow, You should put an ADHDer in a yellow, especially an inattentive ADHDer. That aggravates poor concentration, right? So don't paint your office yellow. You think you want a bright, shiny, lifty, uppy color, but that's going to work against you in the long run, right? It's gonna prevent you from focusing.
You're going to be mad and you're not even going to know why.
Right. You're not even going to know why. You're not going to know why. That's, I think, the most interesting thing out of this whole lesson. Green, considered to create a positive calming effect without causing sedation. It's a big deal. It improves concentration in ADHDers. Blue, again, most common color used for ADHD treatment. It relieves anxiety and stress and tension and migraines and is considered excellent in putting the mind in a state of calm. So you can imagine my interests are creativity, and I want to be relaxed and relieve the anxiety that I live with. And so the colors that I'm looking at, blue, green, and purple, I got to change my office up, Nikki. It's time.
Yes, you do.
It's time. Yeah. So I will tell you as a bit of a caveat, I was not able to find a single stitch of solid scientific research data supporting the effect of color on ADHD. So everything we're talking about is based on the practical reporting of those in the field, people who use chromotherapy in their psychotherapy practices. And normally I hate it when I can't find a study to back this stuff up. But my own experience with color and my conversations with therapists who are deeply into color and using it for treatment is such that I feel like we can't really ignore the results. Still, the primary message here is that your mileage may vary. Our collective human experience suggests that this is something worth considering when you're looking at how color impacts your life and your attention and your energy, and so on.
Yeah.
So I hope this is a useful and semi-inspirational
really
topic.
It's different. It's a different topic. We certainly have never talked about it before, and I think it's interesting, and I think it's just like anything. You have nothing to lose to try it and see what you think. I mean, even it's just subtle little things, So yeah, this is great. And I'm so glad I picked green as an accent color and not orange or something that's really going to...
Yeah, as a stimulant. I think I have too much orange in my room. What I love here is that I also have my hue lights. And I have been working... I actually change up my lights depending on what I'm working on. And it's really nice to be able to cycle through these different scenes depending on the mood. And when I want to, when I want to relax but not go to sleep, to be able to move to a slight green tint is something I'm going to be practicing more. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Pete. I love it.
And thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to the show. We certainly appreciate your time and attention. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next time right here on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.